What's going on? My name is Psyche, and this video will be the first of my beginner's guides for Dead Cells 2.1. This is a 2021 guide on choosing, build, and explaining how the different colors work. This guide is intended for players just starting out or 1BC. So first of all, a bit about myself. I have been playing Dead Cells since 2018. In fact, I got introduced to the game when the IGN reviewer plagiarized someone else's video, so if nothing else, thank you IGN for introducing me to this amazing game. Over the last 2 years, I've taken a lot of breaks in between because a lot of the times I was just getting frustrated with how hard the game was, especially when I was in 2BC. Only late last year I've reached 5BC, which is the hardest difficulty in the game, and now I want to share some of my experiences throughout my journey. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about the different colors. Those are red, purple, green, which respectively refers to Brutality, Tactics, and Survival builds. So first of all, when picking scrolls, one of the most common mistakes I see beginners make is distributing the scroll counts evenly throughout the 3 scrolls because new players think that they can get more health this way. However, this is actually incorrect. So imagine that I start out with 1 stat in all 3 colors, and every single stat equates to 10 points of damage. So if I'm allowed to allocate 10 scrolls amongst any of the 3 colors, I will drop all of them into a single color instead of distributing evenly throughout all of them. The reason for this is that imagine that if I have a red weapon along with a green weapon, if I distribute 5 scroll stats into both Brutality and Survival, so I would have 6 each, then my weapons would do 60 damage. However, if I had 2 weapons of the same color and I allocate all of my 10 scroll stats into Tactics, then both my weapons will do 110 damage. This is a lot better since the damage bonuses you get from getting a scroll does not change, whereas the health points that you get will get lower and lower the more your stats increase. And really, in the late game, the health bonuses are so low that it's almost insignificant. So it's really in the best interest to allocate all these scroll stats into a single point and have all of your items aligned with that color. Now, in the beginning of the game, this isn't too much of an issue considering that in the beginning of the game, your stat scrolls are still too low to make any significant impact. So really, in the beginning of the game, you can have a combination of any color items in your inventory because it doesn't really affect the damage output that much. And in addition, sometimes you'll find dual stat scrolls where your color of choice is not there. So if I'm running a Tactics build, I might get a dual stat scroll of Brutality and Survival. In that case, yeah, just pick whichever one gives you more health. The other thing about item scaling is that some items in the game scales with more than 1 color. So for example, the Ice Shard weapon scales with both Tactics and Survival. In this case, Ice Shards will scale with whichever color is the higher one. So if I had 6 scrolls in Tactics and 5 scrolls in Survival, Ice Shards will do 60 damage. The 5 scrolls in Survival are completely ignored. So that's it for basic color choice. Now I'm gonna move on to basically the overview of how each color is distinguishable from one another. So first of all, we have Brutality. I think Brutality has the most balanced option out of the 3 colors. The reason for this is that the health bonus that they are given is higher than a Tactics build but lower than a Survival build. Brutality builds focus a lot on melee combat. Basically, it's all about getting up close and personal with the enemies. It focuses on burst damage as well as grenades and dealing constant damage until the enemy is dead. The affixes on Brutality builds normally focuses on burning and bleed synergy. Next up is Tactics. Tactics, in my opinion, is probably the hardest build to play in the game because the health pool that they are given is the lowest out of all the 3 colors. Tactics builds is mainly focused around ranged combat. So just like archers in a video game, they can deal a lot of damage from a distance, but they have very low health to compensate for it. However, Tactics has the best items in the game, it deals the most DPS, and it's all about that high-risk, high-reward gameplay. Every single mistake that you make on a Tactics build will be costly. The affixes associated with Tactics builds often include Electric and Poison synergy. So lastly is Survival. Survival is focused on a slow, defensive playstyle. Every single shield in the game scales with Survival. A lot of its weapons have slow attacks but high damage, such as the broadsword. The broadsword swings very slowly, but it deals a high amount of damage per hit. Survival has the highest health pool out of the 3 colors, but it has the lowest pool of good items. Survival is all about timing and strategy, finding a window to attack the enemy while always being on the defensive. Survival is probably the easiest build to win with, and its affixes include slowdown and rooting. So lastly, I want to talk about colorless items. So colorless items are these items that emit a white glow. They can usually be found in curse chests, loot drops from elite enemies, and as for legendary items, they're essentially the same thing, but they're usually guarded by a group of enemies and you have to clear the surrounding enemies guarding the item before accessing it. Colorless items scale with whichever color is the highest, and this can lead to a lot of interesting build choices. So in this case, I'm holding a colorless magic missile. The magic missile normally is supposed to scale with Tactics only, but in this case, because my Brutality is the highest, the damage output from the magic missile will scale with my Brutality instead. Legendary items are the same thing, except that you can carry 2 copies of the same item if you have one of them equipped. So if you have a legendary Mushroom Boy, you can carry another Mushroom Boy in your second skill slot. Normally, you cannot do this. So that is going to be the end of the first beginner's guide for Dead Cells. In the future, I plan on releasing more guides, as well as more advanced guides for different boss cells. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.